I thought today would be a good time to start a new series. I've been talking about my healing journey a lot on this channel, like what I've done to heal from trauma, to heal from narcissistic abuse, to heal from the world, honestly, right now, because we've been through a lot here in the US. Things have been rough. So, yeah, I figured why not just tell you guys what I've done and what you can possibly do too. So, hello. It's been a month since my last post. I didn't post because the state of the world is just a mess. Here in the US, things have been rough. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. I was feeling really overwhelmed. My grandmother passed away, so there was that. And to be completely honest, money has been really tight. And I think that's true for a lot of people right now. Yeah. So it's been rough. I really, there was a point where I really thought that I was going to give up on this channel. But you know what? Like I said, like I've been saying since the beginning, this is for me. So I don't know. I feel like it's just cathartic for myself. That being said, I thought today would be a good time to start a new series. I've been talking about my healing journey a lot on this channel, and I figured, why wait? I've been doing this weird thing where it's like I feel like I have to do everything in chronological order, and yeah, I just realized that why? I don't need to do everything in chronological order. I thought this was I thought this was as good a time as any to talk about my healing journey and like what I've done to heal from trauma, to heal from narcissistic abuse, to heal from the world, honestly, right now, because we've been through a lot over the last 5-10 years. It's just been a lot. So yeah, I figured why not just tell you guys what I've done and what you can possibly do too. I don't know. Not everything works for everyone, but I feel like a lot of these things are what I've seen other people doing on the socials, on YouTube, and yeah, a lot of it really does help. Needless to say, if you're really going through something difficult, therapy is always the best way to go. I know therapy helped me a lot when I was really struggling. I've dealt with depression since I was 19 years old. It's, I believe, a chronic thing with me, but there have been times in my life where I was feeling overwhelmed and I was going through a lot, and there were a lot of obstacles in my way that I just couldn't process. And therapy helped me a lot during that time. So, and also I should note that if you do start therapy and like you don't really feel like your therapist understands you, always ask for another therapist or go to another clinic or whatever the case may be. Shop around, because that happened to me. My first, I guess, experience with therapy was in college, and we had a program where the psychology students at my college were running kind of like a free clinic. And it might help some people, but it didn't help me. I went to 2 to 3 sessions, and I just knew I wasn't meshing with the therapist there. And yeah, just we didn't click. And yeah, I dropped it, and I didn't go back to therapy about 8 years later. When I did finally go back to therapy, there was a lot going on. And honestly, I went in thinking there was something wrong with me and I needed to get fixed. And that therapist really helped me in the sense that she was very empathetic, very invested in her clients, I guess. And she let me know, that none of this was my fault. None of what I was feeling was any fault of mine. I didn't have a character flaw. It was the circumstances that I was going through at the time. And a lot of like my past trauma was also affecting me. She helped me to see that. And I really appreciate everything she did for me. To this day, I love that woman. She was amazing. And she did everything possible to really help me. So if you can find a therapist like that, honestly, you won in life because that is invaluable. Finding a therapist that really connects with you and really sees you for who you are and understands what you've been through, even if they haven't been through it themselves, like they can put themselves in your shoes and see the world through your eyes. I think that's invaluable. And I was really lucky. I was really lucky to find a therapist like that. But yeah, so obviously go to therapy. And I get that sometimes, Lord knows, in the US, mental health care is not a priority here. And it really sucks because I really believe that a lot of people would benefit, especially people who are financially unstable or don't have insurance, don't have a job. All these people could totally benefit from therapy. I was lucky enough to find a clinic that offered free therapy for a certain amount of time. And I took advantage of that, like, definitely took advantage of that. What else? So, I guess outside of therapy, what I've done to help myself heal from trauma and from overwhelm and burnout and all that kind of thing. Number one, I would say read a lot. Just there are so many resources out there as far as, I wouldn't call them self-help books, but like research papers, books that really analyze and talk about how to view yourself within the world. Maybe I'll do a separate video as far as like the books that have helped me, but definitely do some research, read on your own. I know there's like this trend going on right now where people are doing their like personal curriculum or something like that. And honestly, like, I've done something similar to that effect my whole life. I've always been an avid learner. I've always just like, I love reading things that help me learn, not just about myself, but about others, about how we interact with others. Sociology was like a big thing for me in college. I took a sociology class just because I thought it sounded interesting and I got sucked in. So definitely look into any resources that you can find. Yeah, it's really helpful to read what experts have to say about, the human experience and how we interact with people. Okay, so number two, I guess, would be writing. Definitely. Like my whole channel is about me keeping a journal and what I did as far as venting my feelings. And when you really think about it, going to a therapist is that, you're venting, you're talking about your feelings, a lot of people just call it talk therapy, but I would say writing things down is just as helpful to anyone who's going through something, because as you're writing things down, you're processing, you're putting what you're feeling into words. And a lot of times we have trouble with that because feelings are very hard to explain to someone, even to explain to ourselves. Like if I'm feeling a certain way, it takes me a while to figure out, where is this coming from? If I'm irritable and impatient or just, just in a bad mood, I have to stop myself sometimes and really think like, what am I feeling? Am I really irritable? Am I being impatient? Am I hungry? Am I feeling cooped up? Am I, do I need to go outside? Do I need to get some fresh air? Like, really, what is going on? Or is it something that's like coming from within, where, am I afraid of something? Am I feeling humiliated? Or does it have to do with one person, or is it just in general? Because a lot of times, like, we don't even realize that, we're upset with one person and it affects every single relationship that we're in. And that's really hard on everyone else around us. So, yeah, you really have to stop and think like, what is the problem? What is the root cause of what you're feeling? And writing things down, for me, it's very helpful because, again, I can actually take what I'm feeling and put it into words and figure out, what's going on. Even if you don't have like that, you know, quote unquote expert to help you get there, I think we're all hopefully in tune with ourselves enough to figure that out on our own. At least that's been my experience. So, yeah. And like I said, sometimes I just want to go outside and, especially like times like now, like we've had a ton of snowstorms, especially in New York. Snowed yesterday a little bit. So, not being able to go outside and get some fresh air. So I would say like that's number three, go outside, go for a walk, get some exercise, really, you know, explore your neighborhood, go to a park if you can, if the weather's nice enough. And yeah, a lot of times you just need a change of scenery to help yourself feel better. That works for me. Sometimes, when I stop and think, sometimes I'm like, wow, I really haven't left the house in like 4 days. Like maybe I should, go to the grocery store or something, or just go for a walk around the block or something, just get out. Sometimes that really helps. There have been times where I'll take my kids to go out, go outside and like draw something that we see along the way. So that's another thing. I guess that would be number four, painting and drawing. Even if it's just like doodling, sketching, you don't have to be an artist to benefit from sketching something. Nobody has to see your work. Even if it's like something that you might think is ugly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's pretty or ugly or objectively, subjectively, it doesn't matter. The point is to view the world in a different way. Like, for example, one time I took my daughter to the park and we found this gazebo in the park, and I was like, it's so pretty. Let's just, sit down and like draw it, try to draw it. And then it's fun to do that, especially with someone else, because then you can compare notes. It's like, oh, I like this part that you did, and oh, this looks good. Or, even if we do something like set a timer and just do like a minute, trying to get the shapes in within that minute, it's fun. It's fun to do it. And even if you don't have somebody that you can do that with, you can just do it on your own and time yourself. Stuff like that is fun for me, I guess. um, but yeah, painting your feelings. Sometimes I have a few entries in my art journal where it's literally just me, just like going at it with any color I can find and just getting out my aggression. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's just an expression, expressing yourself in other ways than just language can be very helpful. Another thing that I like to do is go to karaoke with my friends. One of my best friends, she and I, like, every time we're feeling a certain way and like things are just like piling up on each other, and we're just overwhelmed, burnt out, and just like not having it, I just call her up. You want to go to karaoke this weekend? Yes, I need it. You know, it's just, it's fun. And you don't have to sing great. Sometimes it's even better if you don't, because it's just, like I said, it's just any form of expression I feel is the best for depression, right? I think I read that somewhere where it's like the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's expression. That's true even if you're not an artist, you know, expressing yourself in as many ways as possible, I believe, is like invaluable for anyone who's going through a hard time or dealing with a lot of issues. Again, going back to being an avid learner and, you know, doing my own research, learning and researching about my ancestry has helped me a lot just in kind of feeling that connection. I don't have a lot of family near where I live. Yeah, actually, all of my immediate family lives out of state. So that can be difficult. And, you know, as much as you try to visit and make the time to connect with your loved ones, whether they're near or far, I feel like there's something special about learning about your ancestry and learning what their traditions were. There were a few things that growing up, I thought I knew our culture. I thought that I knew everything there was to know about Peru and the people who lived there. I've taken art history classes about pre Columbian America and kind of thought I knew our history, but in delving a little deeper on like specifically the traditions of the area where I was born, I've learned so much. And it's really helped me not just connect with my culture, but connect with the world, honestly, and just see things a lot differently. Yeah. So that's another thing that I've done to help myself heal, I guess. Generational trauma is a real thing. These fears and these traumas get passed down to us. That's been scientifically proven that if, say, you know, your mom has a fear of snakes, that can get passed down to you. Anything, fear of heights, that stuff is actually hereditary. So getting to know your ancestry, I feel like, and all the, you know, the trauma that they endured can actually help you as a person to really know more about yourself and learn more about yourself and sometimes connect the dots. So, yeah, one thing that I found really interesting in learning about my ancestry is their relationship with plants and herbs, the earth, nature. Their relationship with nature was really eye opening to me. And I know it was like really trendy in 2020 for everyone to like have house plants and stuff like that. And, you know, I got into that trend as well. But I feel like for me, it was a little bit different just because there is that ancestral relationship with nature. Yeah, it was very special to me. You know, my relationship, you know, I have a bunch of house plants, or I've moved a lot, so I kind of lost a few. But I had an extensive houseplant collection. I've given a lot of them away to new homes. So, but yeah, I feel like growing plants is another way that it's therapeutic. You know, you care for them, you learn what they need, and I feel like keeping houseplants helps you be more empathetic. You know, pets are another thing as well. My pets are my emotional support animals, honestly. I have two cats, Midnight and Callie, and Midnight is definitely mine. He is my son. So, pets are another way to like care for another being. And I feel like that's true about a lot of things, you know, caring for others, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal or a person, it really helps you develop your empathy. I guess going back to the whole artsy thing, I've recently jumped on that trend as well of doing junk journaling. Just got started on that. So far, I find it interesting. I definitely like the collage aspect of it a lot more than just making the journals. I can't speak to whether or not junk journaling can be therapeutic because I've only really been doing it for like a month now. Actually doing it, I only started doing that this year. So I'll let you know, I guess. But I've heard great things about it. People just really enjoy it. It's a nice way to relieve stress and be creative in a way that not only helps keep waste down because you're using junk, right? You're using things that you would normally throw away and creating something beautiful out of it. So I've heard a lot of people say that like they feel good about it and it's fun and there's no right or wrong way to do it. I don't know, I find it interesting. It's a nice hobby to keep you off of social media, at least. That's definitely something that I believe we all struggle with. So there's that. And definitely along the same lines as junk journaling, actually in junior high, yeah, in 8th grade, back in the day, we used to have shop class. And one of my shop classes was bookbinding and bookmaking, I guess. And we made our own little journals and it was really fun and I totally enjoyed it. I really wish I would have kept that journal. I don't know what happened to it. It's not one of the journals that I threw away. I know that. I think it just got lost, honestly. I don't know what happened to it because I love that thing. That little book was just so precious to me. And we even got to engrave our names into them. So, yeah. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, I really miss that. Anyway, but yeah, that's another nice little hobby that I've recently started up again because I've gotten into junk journaling. I like the junk journaling, but at the same time, I kind of want to make like cute little notebooks. I love notebooks. And making my own is like even more fun because you get to customize it any way you want. But yeah, I've gotten back into that as well. I know I have a lot of hobbies. Anyway, what else? I guess in the same category as writing in a journal, writing stories is another really great way of healing, I guess. I think I've mentioned it before where I've taken stories that I've created and kind of used my characters as a way of coming up with scenarios, like putting them through something similar to what I've been through, and then coming up with a scenario where they conquered their obstacles or their fears. And yeah, coming up with stories, I feel like I don't know, there's something magical about that. There's using your imagination and your creativity to tell a story. I feel yeah, it just feels good. I used to do it a lot and I kind of miss it, but I feel like I have so many interests going on right now that I really don't have time anymore. But I have done that and I did that for many years. Writing short stories, writing poetry, writing screenplays, stage plays. Yeah, I have a bunch of stories that maybe I should dig up and produce them or something. I did produce 3 short films so that I wrote. So that's another way, storytelling. I know a lot of people who have written and illustrated comic books, graphic novels, children's books, that sort of thing, or even not just children's books, but just books in general. Over the years, I've met a few people who have done that, and I would love to do something like that. I have never tried. I did take a visual narrative course in college, and I really enjoyed that, even though we didn't really get to do like whole project. But yeah, it's fun to just write something down, like a little short narrative, and then draw some accompanying images to it. It doesn't have to be like an actual book that you publish. It could just be something for yourself. I feel like that would be interesting. I can't say I've really tried that, but I've done something similar, and I guess yeah, I think that would be another good way to help you heal from whatever's going on in your life. I don't know. I guess I guess that's it for now. That's all I can think of anyway. If you want me to go a little more in depth into any of these topics. So what I was thinking was to turn this into a series of going a little more in depth into each one of these topics and kind of showing you what I've done, what I've been working on, what I've done in the past, and how you can do it, maybe something a little more instructional. But yeah, if you're interested in something like that, let me know. Like and subscribe. Oh, gross. I hate saying that. No, but honestly, leave me a comment. Let me know which one of these areas would you be more interested in learning more about. Yeah. And maybe I'll turn this into kind of like an alternating series where one video I'll, talk about like my healing journey and kind of do a little more tutorial type thing. And then the next video, I'll continue telling my story of what I've been through. Yeah. Is that it? I think that's it. That was fun. Okay. Yeah, so leave me a comment. Let me know what I should do next. And yeah, so that's it for this video. And I guess I'll see you next time.